All righty. The question we are setting out to address here in Collective Intelligence Block Party number 17, welcome back after a break. The question we are addressing is, what is the Collective Intelligence Block Party? Who are we? Why are we here? What are we up to? What are we trying to accomplish? What are our goals? And what's our strategy? What's the deal, right? Who would like to kick it off?
Collective intelligence is a meeting of minds, minds that have been, slightly in a state of confusion about what the meaning of life is. So we're meeting to become more intelligent, number one.
Very good. Yeah, by being collectively intelligent. So there's a really strong analogy between the Cambrian explosion when we, life, basically went from unicellular to multicellular. We're going from unicranial to multicranial. Cranium doesn't quite do it for me. Maybe from unimind to multimind, right? Hive mind, whatever. But hive mind has a specific meaning. For us, the thing that we're focused on as regards collective intelligence is something that a term we came up with, which is collective superintelligence. And we've talked about that a fair amount. And it's something that we've been developing both at the level of theory and practice. But it basically amounts to this: meetings via video conference, which are recorded and transcribed and therefore made searchable, and a whole network of these conversations, which are interconnected, hyperconnected by multiple different connection types, etc. There will be series of conversations on a given topic, like the various topics that we address at the block party that we have every Friday, Saturday. Likewise, the Solution Club. So there'll be series of conversations. There will be one-off conversations. There'll be all types in this evolving network of conversations. And out of this network, we propose will emerge a thing, a hyper object called collective superintelligence, which is difficult to define completely at this point because it is such a massively multidimensional hyper object, right? Meaning that it has so many different facets and whatnot. I mean, and it can be described from different perspectives. If we were to describe it from the mechanistic perspective, I would highly recommend the 30-minute video that we'll include a link to below, where we go into the mechanics of it and beyond. If you want to think about it from a more personal, psychological, emotional, spiritual, transformational perspective, kind of new agey perspective, if you will, I recommend the 45-minute video below. And in a nutshell, I recommend you keep listening because that's what we're encapsulating here. What is it? In fact, I'd like to screen share to kind of show another facet of what it is, what collective superintelligence is. So let me do that. Okay. In a nutshell, so here we're having a conversation, which is the starting point of collective superintelligence. A conversation which is sufficiently, for lack of a better word, appealing, will attract a lot of people. And then by having lots of people, that conversation can then bifurcate, trifurcate, n-fricate into n different conversations. And n can become a very, very large number, like into the millions easily, with billions of people on the planet, all concerned about coming together to accomplish what? And that's where a strategy and plan comes in. And so, one kind of variation on this is, actually, I think I covered, okay, here, I do it piece by piece. A variation on this is, rather than go what I call the direct pathway, maybe focus first on a topic like hunger, ending hunger. And in the process of actually ending hunger, We attract so many people into so many different conversations on so many different topics that a collective superintelligence evolves from that specific pathway and then sets about the complete strategy and plan to save, heal, and transform life on Earth, bringing life on Earth to a state which we refer to very simply as a whole world, a world that's whole for people and planet, right? So that's kind of how we see CSI, or collective superintelligence, playing within the larger picture of saving life on Earth. Its role is absolutely central. Whether you take this, what we're calling this indirect path, hunger first and then everything else, the more direct path is directly towards everything holistically in one, simultaneous holistic pass, if you will. We're not saying that one is better than the other, but we are mainly focused on this one right now, the end hunger first, for a lot of reasons that we cover very exhaustively. And we put lots of hours into the topic of exactly how we're going to end hunger by feeding everyone immune boosting, whole food, plant-based diets delivered directly to their homes by the communities themselves. So we're essentially talking about how do we organize communities worldwide, both at a local level and at a planetary level, to be one big network. So that's just a great example of collective superintelligence in the making. And it's the pathway that I'm most drawn to because it seems obvious to me. And that's one of the things about collective intelligence is what seems obvious to one person may not be obvious to another. In fact, the opposite may be obvious to another person. And it's through conversation where we sort that out, right? Anyway, I just said a couple of mouthfuls, so I'm going on mute and invite whoever wishes to jump in to do so.
Thanks, Jim. And I'll for me, I suppose I was drawn to the to the collective intelligence block party in the beginning. I suppose like that, like many people would be here in this forum this week in Mahabili would be drawn to it for all the same reasons. Collectively, we are all here for the looking to make the world a better place. Improve situations, dealing with climate and hunger and all the various subjects that are out there. And but it was the idea of the collective intelligence from like I started watching your videos first on radish.org and on YouTube and your Radish Collective Intelligence first as it developed into this. And I was immediately drawn to it because at that stage, for me, I was in the as they put it at that time, I was in the hospice stage of dealing with the climate situation and the way it is and the world the way it is because it is in a bad situation. So the Collective Intelligence Block Party stood out to me immediately as being the only way, because there are so many groups out there trying to work for the better cause, but collectively they're not together. And Jamin's vision is what I see as the way forward, is getting all these groups where we are now today, getting all these groups into the conversation. And I think it is the way to go, and it's only a matter of time before, like a meme, that will take off and we will become collectively super intelligent and we will work for for the greater good, without thinking of recompense for each other, just for the greater good. And that's what it was all about for me anyway.
Beautiful, beautiful. I'd just like to share a few more slides, but I'm going to wait until others have chimed in with what is collective superintelligence to you, and what does the collective intelligence block party mean to you, and et cetera. All right, I'll go ahead and screen share here. All righty. So building from these two different pathways that I talk about, the direct and the indirect, And there can be many forms of indirect, right? In fact, I'll get to a slide where I've got multiple different mega problems. And which one do we focus on first is a really important question. It's one I was discussing with Professor Guy McPherson and Dr. Yatow of Harvard University earlier this week. And anyway, whole world for people and planet, and there's different facets of a whole world. We can break it down in different ways. Here we're looking, we're drilling in, focusing on food, breaking it down by geography. And anyway, I'm going to skip over the next slides other than just to flash through them. You can always pause, I guess, and read through them. Intersections between topics, coarse versus fine versus singular, one big conversation. Well, that's what we're having right now. That's what we, because we haven't broken down into multiple groups yet at any level of, granularity yet. We're just at the singular conversation, which is a really great place to be, actually, for starters. It's a singular opportunity to be in the singular conversation. This is the slide I wanted to show y'all. Okay. So we talk about all of these topics on the Collective Intelligence Block Party, but not just to be talking because we think they're interesting and it's like a book club and we just get together and talk. It's to the contrary, it's something where we're talking with a very specific mission in mind, and that is the saving, healing, and transforming of life on Earth, right? And to get there, we have to look at it, or we choose to look at it at multiple different levels, as you can see here. Root causes of our problems, chronic problems, acute problems, mega solutions, and meta solution being the goose that lays the golden eggs of actual solutions, right? And the big meta solution is CSI, collective superintelligence, right? Anyway, just wanted to share that. I'll leave it on there for a few more moments. And if anyone has anything to add, just feel free to jump in. You know what? It looks to me like it trims it off at the bottom there on the screen share. Do you see where it says totalitarian agriculture at the very bottom? It seems like it. Does it chop off agriculture for any of you? BJ, it looks like you're nodding your head up and down. Okay. All right. That's good to know for the future. I won't try to fix it now. But it says totalitarian agriculture. And on the far right, it says dark forces and shadow. Right? The shadow side. Anyway, these are all fascinating topics, but right now, what we're most interested in is, what do we need to do first, second, and third? Suppose we do hunger first, but it's really a coevolution of ending hunger and collective superintelligence, CSI. Those two combined, as they co-evolve, CSI gets to a point where it's strong enough to take on SRM. SRM is the absolute most urgent thing that we have to do. And we need to do it ASAP because we're almost out of time before exponential planetary overheating really skyrockets. So that's kind of our, in a nutshell, the kinds of things we focus on. And what could possibly be either more urgent, more important, or more interesting. For me, it's only a matter of time until essentially half the world is in the conversation in one way, shape, or form or another. To not be in the conversation is just to be like unaware of World War II in the middle of World War II. I imagine there were some folks on some stranded island somewhere that just had zero contact with the rest of the world, no radio, no postal service, no nothing. Okay, fine, maybe they didn't know, but it would be literally like not knowing about World War II in the middle of World War II. It becomes the thing. This is war against omnicide. It's war against extinction of our own species. My goodness. How is it that half the planet is not here now? Not necessarily right here, but in the conversation. More and more people are. But anyway, I'll just leave that on the table and go on mute. because I've said another couple mouthfuls. Thanks everyone for listening. Going on mute.
Collective intelligence can include everyone that has access. Okay.
And you know what? Speaking of access, suppose there's somebody way up in Nome, Alaska. My uncle once worked up in Nome, Alaska for a couple of years as a Red Cross volunteer. You know, when he was way younger, before I was born. But anyway, and suppose there's somebody up there who just has no internet access. There just doesn't exist. Sorry. It's in the middle of winter, but they are able to, you know, get some AM radio, and on the radio, you know, they hear about certain stories that are being discussed within collective superintelligence, right? And then they choose to write a letter, literally snail mail. We'll have places where they can send snail mail, and we'll scan it in. It becomes part of the database, and there might even be a weekly program where some folks read through the mail and talk about it. So it's like there are ways to participate even if you don't have internet access in what we're envisioning. Anyway, going on mute. Really great point, Rebecca, and thanks for raising it. And it's omni-inclusive. Everyone can participate. Or radically inclusive. All right, who would like to chime in either with a comment or a question, you know, about the block party? What are we up to? And I say we save the history, excuse me, the history of the block party for a separate video, but just really focus more on the, you know, who are we? Why are we here? What is it? And that aspect of it, you know, includes like, you know, well, exactly who are we, and you know, how did we get here? A lot of us found out about this, the collective intelligence block party through Guy McPherson and the work that I've done with Guy McPherson over the last 3+ years. And others have found out about it through Vegan World 2026, led by Dr. Silas Rao. So, you know, we hear about the block party through whatever means. We come and we check it out, and it's, you know, like benevolent flypaper. It really grabs you. If you're, you know, if I would say if you're ready to really look at the whole of it, including all the perils and, you know, rate of extinction and just all the horrific stuff that's happening, all the exponential planetary overheating, the melting of ice, the, you know, the vicious cycles. If you're ready to really take a look at the whole of it and get into the solution space of what's it going to take to save, heal, and transform life on Earth, this is the place for you. And if you're not ready for that conversation, then obviously this isn't the place for you, right? But do at least, you know, bookmark it for when you are ready for it, because the world needs as many of us who are ready for it to come together and do this together. And we don't see ourselves like as a bubble in isolation. Like, for example, we'll be participating extensively in World Unity Week, right? Because that's just right in line with our ethos. It's all about bringing humanity together. And, you know, we've got a specific take on it, and others have other takes on it. And that's a beautiful thing, that we have a plurality of different takes on what it's going to take. Yes, Emery, go for it.
Yes. What do you see as being the primary roadblock, the primary reason why we aren't taking care of business? Is it Is it the lack of money? What is it? The lack of something? I mean, what is the missing ingredient? Okay, that is preventing humanity from doing something that to me seems like a very normal, it would be a very normal, common thing to want to do in in one's life, in one's journey through life. Uh, there are certain things that one does to experience a certain amount of joy. Now, why wouldn't someone pursue activities that would bring joy into their life? Saving life seems to me like something that would be extremely joyous, wouldn't it?
I would think so. I mean, for me, it is. And, but it, it takes something to be able to tap into that joy. It takes essentially going into the depths of fully grasping, to the extent each of us can as individuals, fully grasping the depths and the risks and the perils and the rate of extinction and, you know, just how bad it is. Not everyone's willing to do that deep dive to then be able to come out the other side and experience the joy of collaborating with other people around the world on solving our problems, right?
Do you think
Yeah.
you think that there is a lack of understanding as to what the fundamentals of life are, and what is it uh, about life on this planet that allows us to live and breathe? I mean, what is it about life? What is it about our existence or our awareness of being alive? Okay, what are the things that tell us that we are alive? Because for the most part, most of us seem to behave as if we were dead.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And that gets to your earlier question about, you know, what's missing or what's afflicting us, that we're not able to see the what is now obvious, I would contend, in terms of our world's most daunting problems, as well as the obvious imperative to search intensively for solutions, starting immediately and on a massive scale using collective intelligence. It seems obvious to us. So what is it that's keeping humanity back, right? That has spared us, right? I would say a number of things. One is addiction to money and hoarding and accumulation. And that's a very serious addiction. And because money and hoarding are associated with survival in this modern age, as opposed to, you know, hunting and gathering when we numbered, you know, about 1,000th of our current numbers. And so we have gotten addicted to this tokenization of wealth called money. We've also gotten addicted to the notion that we can actually own property, right? We've gotten addicted to dominion. We've gotten addicted to eating meat and drinking milk, etc. We've gotten addicted to pharmaceuticals. We've gotten addicted to work. We've gotten addicted to hoarding. We've just gotten addicted to so many bad things that are fundamentally go against life, right? So we've basically become these bad robots governed by a malevolent software virus that got downloaded into the, the hard drives of these robots. And and these are major addictions to overcome. We've got a lot of major inertia to overcome. We grew up with a given story, and we don't change stories that easily, right? And it's the stories that you don't even articulate that I'm trying to articulate now that are the most powerful, the most governing, that just define our reality for us. Anyway, going on mute.
Who defines our reality in your opinion? Because social media and the media in general seems to provide a lot of definition every single day, and it seems to be very transformative for the minds of the masses. They seem to be affixed and so transmuted all the time by everything that the media offers on a daily on a daily consumption.
Yeah. I mean, we don't even watch television here in our house. That's a very intentional choice. But I've been in households where there's a lot of television, and my goodness, it's just like mind control. BJ, go for it.
I was just thinking about the block party and sociocracy is where we come in with our own framework of the problems that are going on or some solutions, or just out of curiosity. And then our mind is expanded by all of these other things. Like for me, when I was aware of the 9 planetary boundaries, I was like, oh my gosh, it's not just climate change, it's all these other problems too that are going on. And yet, how is it that I feel so hopeful? Well, it's because of the sharing of other people about the solutions, and that wouldn't have come about had I just remained isolated without any reading or hearing or listening or that sort of thing. So the block party, I think, is a way to expand our understanding of solutions.
I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I like that as well, and it's exactly it. Like, because for me, I came here for the collective intelligence side of it, as for me, it was like the right way to go, given the situation of the severity of the situation we are facing in the world now today. But along the way and along the journey of getting to become involved in the Bloc Party, I've also found that as well, that it has opened me up to so many other avenues in life that I was completely unaware of. And that is an example of collective intelligence. Just the fact that we had those I was involved in those conversations, opened my mind to a lot more that I was unaware of, in the sense of, and by this I mean holistically, in the sense of like the divine feminine sessions, and the fact that it's the openness, as you were just saying there yourself, and the friendships and that you make in everything like that. It's become like another extended family, more so than just a forum or anything like that. Like, or to me, it's a family anyway as well, and that's important.
Yeah, and we talk about that extensively in the 45-minute video below that Melvin led. Melvin will be with us in a few minutes here. And it's just outstanding. And I mentioned that previously. Good stuff, everyone. This is really good. This is it. And, you know, it's not like, I would say it's more like, a meandering, very organic stream that's just slowly meandering along, right? As opposed to an explosion or a waterfall or something like that. It's, I mean, at times there are amazing bursts of inspiration, but you know, what is it? 10% inspiration, 90% perspiration, or whatever the ratio is, right? So there, you know, there's a fair amount of perspiration here, but it's fun. I mean, I think it's kind of like the slow transformation movement, right? Like the slow food movement. It's the slow conversation movement. Not, I mean, not that we're trying to be slow. If anything, the contrary is true. But you know, sometimes it just takes time to look at something from so many different perspectives, rather than a very bounded conversation. Bounded by time, bounded by topical bounding, you know, etc. Going on mute.
Yeah, exactly. It's not all problem solving and focusing on solutions all the time. Of course, it's getting to know each other. It's becoming friends as well along the way, and that's what I mean. And sharing. People share, you know, their experiences in life and you know, their traits in life and everything else like that. And it's getting to know your family, I suppose, in a sense, like, because especially given the situation we're all in with the lockdown situation and everything, these Zoom conferences have, in a sense as well, made families sit down as well and listen to what each other are actually saying, because they have to do it on the Zoom. They can't really keep cross talking because it gets garbled. So they start to listen. They're sitting down now and listening and talking. So I'm assuming a lot of families are sitting down and having conversations like we are now. Like, so that's all we're doing is we're hoping to invite people to just join this family's conversation as well, but with the view to coming up with solutions to the problems that we're talking about. So that's it. Like,
All righty. Well, I am complete. Save for one little tidbit I want to add, which is notice that we had a couple of moments of silence in the last 3 or 4 minutes. And I see that as actually as a good thing, right? Gives people a chance to catch their breath. And then someone who, you know, has been formulating what to say has much more space and freedom and an easy on-ramp to jump in. And when more than one people want to talk, we form a queue. And anyway, we just make it so that it's really, truly, radically inclusive, not just in name, but in all ways. Speaking of which, we would love to include you. Imagine yourself here. Picture yourself here, right? That's what I'm talking about. What would you say? What would you ask? And just jump in and do it. Come to radish.org. Check out our weekly meetings, the Collective Intelligence Block Party and the Solution Club, and we'd love to see you here. Everyone is welcome. All right. Emery, yes, go for it.
Let's see that by coming together in this setting of a block party, you know, this designed to collectively become more intelligent, you know, we're constantly trying to define what the priorities should be. So that's part of the work that that's part of the activity that we you know, partake in every time, is narrowing down those priorities in a sensible way, in a you know, in a way in which we all kind of agree that, hey, this seems to be a priority, and more so than that other thing that, you know, we are concerned about. But, you know, given the fact that we don't have all that much time available, you know, after, you know, certain analysis has been done, we're, you know, we're very thoughtful of the time that it takes to get things done, you know. And so the work involved in defining priorities, that's an Achilles heel. You know, we need to have that, I believe, uh, very much enlightened and displayed, and be prominent. You know, it has to be um, well understood and explained, and the reasons also presented uh, for discussion.
Indeed, indeed. And we have great conversations about that that guide our actions and our evolution of focus, etc. All righty. Well, I am complete, and it looks like we're going to be transitioning now to the next topic segment. So I'll end this recording, and